Hey yo guys, back again for the day, and as you probably did think I was done, well, you know what? I have a lot of questions to answer, and I'm going to do it. Why? Because I'm in a fantastic mood, because the Ottawa Senators are going to the Stanley Cup Finals. Go Sens go! And I'm only fan saying that. But anyway, let's get to the questions. Cool Cat 572, one of my normal question getters. He has 4 questions. Who are your top 3 favorite tag teams in the WWE? Well, if you mean now, it would be no one. I don't really care for any of the teams in the WWE. But of all time, it's going to be Legion of Doom, British Bulldogs, and the Hart Foundation, as you should have watched my previous vid on the top 20 tag teams. But now I guess it would be the Hardy's #1, I don't know, Crime Time, and World's Greatest Tag Team. I don't care for tag teams now. If all the moves in WWE were real, then which one do you think would hurt the most? The move I would think would hurt the most would be the pile driver. Pile driver. Why? Because it has broken people's necks in the ring in real life, and it's the only move, if I ever go to a wrestling school, I want to be the volunteer to take, because that move is just scary as hell. People's Elbow or the Kanto Bomb? Which do you think is better? Probably the Kanto Bomb. I mean, even though I have never seen it, it sounds awesome, and I bet you it's like a power bomb type thing. I'm just going to go with the Kanto Bomb, just because it sounds awesome. And how long do you think it will take Triple H to win a title after he comes back? Oh, probably about 3 or 5 months, maybe 5 months to a year. I think he'd win it. I think he's going to come back and feud with Cena again and maybe win the title, just because he'd be all political in that. It'd be great for us because it'd be a champion that actually has credibility, but still, I don't like how he did it. So anyway, thanks for those questions, Cool Cat 572. Keep sending them, baby. Angle versus HBK. He has 3 questions, and they're freaking awesome. So anyway, let's get into them. Besides Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10 and SummerSlam, what was your favorite Razor Ramon match? My favorite Razor Ramon match, I have 2, and they both involve the same guy too. It would either be Razor Ramon versus Bret Hart at Royal Rumble 93, or Razor Ramon versus Bret Hart in 93. Now, the reasons are because, well, Bret and Razor together is just money in my mind. I mean, the first one was for the world title, and Razor lost, obviously, but the whole thing, it was great to see him in the main event status. I mean, I would love to see him there as a heel or a face when he was still with the company. And at the 93 King of the Ring, cause that's when they put on, when Razor was in his best, Scott Hall was, Bret Hart was just owned in that tournament, so he had great chemistry there. So, that's my thoughts on that. His second question is, after Ric Flair feuds with Carlito, what do you think the next step should be for the Nature Boy? I think he should retire. After that, retire and just go into the Hall of Fame and maybe be an agent or something, because he'd be a great agent to help the young talent get over and stuff. So that's what I mean. Flair right now wrestling is embarrassing. I mean, he's been ever since like 98. It's been embarrassing to see the Nature Boy do this to himself. I wish he could be like the general manager of Raw, like what he was before. That'd be sweet. And his final question is, Mohamed Asan was one of my favorite wrestlers. His gimmick was brilliant, and his ring talent was good. Would you ever like to see him return to the WWE? Hell fucking yeah. I loved the Mohamed Asan character too. I mean, it was one of the best heel characters they created. Because whatever he would say about America, he'd have a point to it, and the fans would just be like, USA, USA, we can't listen to you. And they would be like, USA. He's from Detroit, man. Like, Jesus Christ, Americans, get it through your thick skulls that not all people who are not white are not American. But anyway, I'd love to see him in there, how he got out of that company, which was crap about what happened in London, and the only country that really cared about was America, and they just obliterated his character on live pay-per-view. So that's my thoughts on that. Thanks for those great questions, Angle versus HBK. Paul E. Manacle has 2 questions. His first is, one of my all-time dream matches is Shawn Michaels versus Eddie Guerrero. How do you think that match would play out? Would it be good? Who would be booked to win, and who would work better as the heel or face in the feud? Okay, hands down, Guerrero has to be the face. heel in the feud, I'm sorry. Guerrero has to be heel. HBK has to, like, have his Christian stuff now and, like, compete as, like, himself in 96. And I personally think HBK would win with, like, a sick flying through the rope and he just catching him in the face. That's how I would think it would be there. And I think the match would play out awesome. You have great wrestling in there, great high flying, great anything. I mean, that would be a sweet match. I never really thought of that, but that would be just a sweet match. And his other question is, here's a question. Who do you think is the best Intercontinental Champion in history? The best Intercontinental Champion in all time, in my mind, is because Mr. Perfect, at that time, that title meant something, and he personified the Intercontinental title. When you say Intercontinental title, he comes into my head with his blue trunks and the gold hair. That's what comes in my mind. He was that title. Great matches with the Texas Tornado, Bret Hart, anyone you put him in there. I mean, even the Boss Man. And he would sell anything so perfectly. So that's who I think is the best champion ever. So thanks for those, Paul E. Manical. Now, the MD Radicals have a lot of questions. I will continue with, they have like 8 questions. I will get to their other 4 in the next part. So anyway, the MD Radicals go. Who do you reckon is the toughest wrestler in WWE in real life? In real life, probably, I don't know, I would say Bret Hart, because he went in there with broken bones and stuff and still put on hell of a shows. But when I read that question, the toughest guy I think of is Austin. Personally, Austin is just insane because he broke his neck in the ring and would still show up to work and want to go. I mean, that shows how much he cares about this business and how tough of a son of a bitch he is. So it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, hands down. Name me the WrestleMania main event. The worst WrestleMania main event ever was WrestleMania 11. Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor. And that's a shame for Bam Bam because he got to main event the biggest card of the year, but he has to do it against a football player. That's where I see that. I mean, it's disgusting. Especially on the WrestleMania disc, they don't even show salt and pepper on there for some reason. That just got me off topic. They don't even show salt and pepper, and they advertise the salt and pepper as one of the celebrities there. So what the fuck, WWE? What are you on? But that's what has to be the worst main event ever. And what do you think of the Dynamite Kid? Great talent, big asshole in the backstage. He was one of the best talents ever, but he was a big asshole. He did some horrible things to people, and a lot of people are happy in the state he's in. I mean, what he did to Jacques Rougeau and Raymond Rougeau, I think, is terrible. He just would start fights with people because he didn't like them. That's just fucking asshole-ish. So, got 2 minutes left, and I just answer the remaining I can. If I was wrestling, who would I love to wrestle against? Also, would you be face or heel? I would love to be heel, just piss off the fans and stuff. And I would love to wrestle someone who get me over good. Like, Perfect, or, not Hogan, he's a piece of shit. Hart. I mean, the people that I think are one of my favorites, I would love to wrestle, just because they have the ability of getting me over. And their next questions are, do you think HBK and Bret Hart will ever shake hands again? No way. No way in hell. Because HBK has appeared on the show here in Canada called Off the Record, and I know it's on YouTube, and he talks about his change in lifestyle and stuff, and Bret Hart still thinks he's a big piece of shit. Never again that will happen. I mean, Bret and Vince shaking hands I thought was crazy, but Bret and HBK, never. And who would win between CM Punk and Kurt Angle? Kurt Angle, just because he's so intense in the ring. I mean, Punk's damn good, but I think Angle would just show up Punk, and I think Kurt Angle would honestly embarrass CM Punk just on his in-ring ability. I mean, Punk can do some crazy shit, but I personally think it's Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle. And what is the greatest tag match in history? That will have to be answered in part 2 of Down and Dirty with the Dirty White Boy, so be right back.